Here, take shelter from the rain. It looks like it's settling in.
The camera opens on a sea of blue graduation gowns. Students are laughing, tossing their caps in the air, families cheering. But amid the noise stands Amara, a young black African woman in her mid-20s, still and quiet. Her gown flutters in the breeze, her eyes glisten with tears she can't hold back. In her trembling hand, she holds a small folded letter, old, yellowed, and fragile. Her voice breaks softly as she reads it again, her lips barely moving. Paid in full. Continue your studies. That's all the letter says. No name, no signature. Just those few words that changed her entire life. She presses the letter to her chest, looking out over the cheering crowd. For everyone else, this is a day of celebration. For Amara, it's a day of questions. Voice-over narration. Gentle, reflective. Would you recognize the person who changed your life? If fate brought them back years later? The camera slowly zooms in on her face. A tear slides down her cheek. Behind her eyes, memories flicker. Hunger, dusty roads, her mother's weary smile, the fear of losing everything. Voiceover continues. This is not just a story about kindness. It's a story about how one silent act of love can echo through time and bring two souls together when destiny decides the time is right. Fade to black. Title appears on screen. A stranger paid her school fees. Years later, she met him again. Scene fades in. A small rural village in the early morning light. Roosters crow. Smoke rises from cooking fires, and barefoot children run along the dirt path. Amara, about 16, walks quickly, clutching her worn-out school books to her chest. Her school uniform is clean but faded. Every step she takes kicks up dust, a symbol of her persistence despite poverty. Her mother, Mama Ife, sits by a wooden stall in the local market, selling mangoes and oranges. Her hands are rough from years of hard work, her eyes tired but warm. That evening, Amara rushes home with worry on her face. Her teacher had warned her that the school might send her away. Again, the unpaid fees have piled up. Her mother sits quietly, peeling a mango. She knows. She doesn't need Amara to say it. "Don't worry, my child," she says softly, her voice frail but firm. God does not forget those who work hard, but Amara has heard that before. And now, she's beginning to doubt it. Days pass. The school headmaster grows impatient. One morning, Amara is called into his office. He looks at her sadly. "Amara," he says, "you're one of our brightest students, but without the payment, we cannot keep you here." Her world tilts. The ground beneath her feels unsteady. She walks home that day in silence, the sound of children laughing in the distance. Children who don't have to worry about money, sickness, or hunger. That evening, her mother coughs uncontrollably. Her illness, which she's been hiding, has worsened. The medicine they can't afford sits behind the pharmacist's glass window, like a cruel reminder of their reality. Amara sits by her side that night, tears streaming silently down her face. She whispers, "Maybe it's time I stop school, Mama. I can work. I can help." Her mother reaches for her hand weakly. "No, Amara, you must finish. You will become a teacher. That's what your father wanted." The mention of her father, long gone, makes her heart ache. She nods, but deep inside, she knows they've reached the end. Scene shift. Dusk. The sky glows orange and purple as Amara walks to the edge of the village. There stands a tall mango tree, old and strong, its branches heavy with fruit. It's the tree where she used to sit as a little girl, dreaming about her future. Now she kneels beneath it, clutching her books and crying softly. Her prayer is simple, but desperate. God, if you can hear me. Please, just one more chance. I don't want to give up now. The wind rustles the leaves gently, a whisper of hope she doesn't yet understand. She stays there until the stars come out, then walks home under the dim moonlight. The next morning feels different. The sun seems brighter, the air lighter, though Amara doesn't know why. As she enters the schoolyard, the headmaster calls her name sharply. Her heart skips. She expects the worst, but when she steps into his office, his tone is gentle, almost shocked. "Amara," he says, holding out a folded paper. "Someone came by yesterday. Your school fees. They've been paid. Every single term. In full." Amara blinks, speechless. "By who?" she asks. He shakes his head. "No name, no address. Just this note." He hands it to her. Her hands tremble as she unfolds the small, clean piece of paper. It reads simply, "Paid in full. Continue your studies." The words blur as tears fill her eyes. "Paid in full." She whispers again and again, almost afraid to breathe. The headmaster smiles faintly. "Seems someone believes in you, Amara. Don't waste their faith." She walks out of the office in a daze, holding the note like a piece of gold. Scene cut. Amara running home, barefoot, through the dusty path. Her laughter echoes for the first time in weeks. "Mama! Mama!" she shouts, bursting into their small house. Her mother sits up, confused. "They paid! Someone paid everything." She shows her the note, and for the first time in a long while, her mother smiles through tears. "See?" she whispers, hugging her tightly. "God never forgets." Amara holds on to her mother and cries into her shoulder. Tears of relief, joy, and wonder. But even in that happiness, a small voice inside her asks, "Who did this for me? And why me?" Sometimes, a single act of kindness can change the course of a life. For Amara, that one mysterious payment became a seed, one that would grow into something she could never have imagined. Scene opens. The village schoolyard. 2 years later. The morning sun lights up Amara's face as she stands at the top of her class during the end-of-year ceremony. Her uniform is still patched, her shoes still worn, but her eyes shine brighter than ever. Teachers call her name again and again for awards. Top in mathematics, best in English, and finally, Student of the Year. The crowd claps. Her mother stands at the back, hands clasped together, proud tears running down her cheeks. But even as everyone celebrates, Amara's eyes search the crowd, looking for someone. Someone who isn't there. The stranger who paid her fees. Cut to later that night. Their small home dimly lit by a kerosene lamp. Amara carefully unfolds the old letter once more. Paid in full. Continue your studies. She runs her fingers over the ink, now fading. She whispers, "Who are you? Why did you help me?" Her mother glances at her from across the room. "Maybe you're not meant to know," she says softly. "Some angels prefer to stay unseen." Amara smiles faintly, folding the paper again. But the mystery burns inside her. Transition. Years pass in a gentle montage. Amara walking across a college campus, books in her arms, wearing a worn but proud smile. Long nights of studying under flickering dorm lights, working part-time to support herself, volunteering at local schools, teaching children who can't afford proper education. Her voiceover carries through these scenes. "I promised myself that one day I'd do for someone what was once done for me." Scene, a small classroom in the city. Amara stands before a group of children, some barefoot, some hungry, but all eager. Chalk dust fills the air as she writes on the old blackboard, "Education is light." The children repeat after her in unison, their voices filling the room. Amara smiles, her heart full. She's not rich, she's not famous, but she's finally doing what she always dreamed, teaching. Her students adore her. She listens to their stories, helps them with their fears, and gives them more than lessons. She gives them hope. A tender moment follows. One of the children, a shy girl named Kemi, approaches her after class. "Teacher Amara," she says, holding out a folded paper. "My mother says we cannot pay any more. Maybe I should stop coming." Amara kneels down, takes the girl's hand, and smiles. "No, Kemi, don't stop coming. Just keep learning. We'll find a way." When Kemi leaves, Amara stares at the paper in her hand. Unpaid fees. Her eyes soften. It reminds her of herself. She quietly takes some of her own small savings, money she was keeping for food, and pays the fee herself. As she walks home, her heart feels light. For the first time, she understands how it must have felt for her mysterious benefactor. Giving quietly, asking for nothing in return. Scene: Amara's small apartment. Late evening. The letter from her past hangs on the wall beside her desk. Framed now. The edges are yellowed, but the words still whisper to her every day. Paid in full. Continue your studies. She sometimes looks at it while marking her students' homework, wondering what her life might have been if that stranger had never stepped in. She whispers, "I hope you know. I never forgot." Montage. Passage of time. Amara walking across a graduation stage, this time for her college degree. She's smiling, holding her certificate high. Her mother, older and weaker now, claps proudly in the crowd. Amara hugs her tightly, whispering, "We made it, Mama." Narration: warm, hopeful. She had every reason to move on, to forget. But Amara never could. The letter remained, a constant reminder that somewhere, someone had believed in her when no one else did. Scene: present day. Amara at her small tutoring center. Children run around the dusty yard, chasing each other, laughing. A handmade sign reads, "Hope Learning Center. Education for every child." Amara stands in front, watching them, a soft smile on her face. Her center isn't fancy. Old desks, few books, a chalkboard with cracks. But to her, it's heaven. Every child who walks through her door is another chance to pass on the kindness she once received. Camera pans to her face, thoughtful, emotional. She says softly to herself, "Maybe that's how life works." One hand lifts another, and the kindness travels on. Closing visual for the section. That night, as rain taps gently against her window, Amara lights a candle beside the framed letter. The flame flickers, glowing over the words. Paid in full. She closes her eyes, whispering, "Wherever you are, thank you." Her voice trembles, part gratitude, part longing. But beneath it all, a quiet sense of peace fills her heart. Narration, soft and foreshadowing. She had no idea that the one who helped her was still out there, watching, waiting. And soon, their paths would cross again, in a way neither of them could ever expect. Music swells gently as the scene fades to black. Life has a way of testing even the strongest hearts. For years, Amara had built her world on gratitude. But soon, that world would shake under the weight of loss and unanswered questions. Scene opens, Amara's childhood home, now quieter, emptier. The once busy fruit stall stands still. The mango tree, once full of laughter and dreams, now shades a small yard filled with silence. Amara, now in her late 20s, sits beside her mother, Mama Ifa, who lies on a thin mat, her breathing weak. The illness that had come and gone for years has now returned, stronger than before. Amara wipes her mother's forehead gently with a damp cloth. Her eyes are red from crying, but she forces a smile. "You'll get better, Mama. I promise." Mama Ife shakes her head slowly. "My time is coming, Amara, but I can rest now, because you've made me proud." Amara clutches her mother's hand tightly, trembling. "Don't say that. I still need you. I still have so much to do." Her mother smiles faintly. "Then do it. Teach, give, live, the way that stranger believed you could." Scene fades, days later. The sound of women weeping fills the small compound. A white cloth covers Mama Ife's still body. Amara kneels beside her, tears streaming freely. The loss feels like the sky itself has fallen. Narration, somber. She had lost her father to sickness when she was a child. Now, losing her mother felt like losing the last piece of her world. As the mourners leave one by one, an old family friend quietly hands Amara an envelope. "Your mother left this for you," she says softly. Amara opens it with shaking hands. Inside is a small folded paper and a note written in her mother's fragile handwriting. The note reads, "I once tried to find the person who paid your fees. I thought they should know what you became. But all I found was another message. A single line that said, 'Let her never know who I am.'" Amara freezes. Her lips tremble as she reads it again and again. Let her never know who I am. Who could he be? And why would someone do such a thing, help her, then disappear forever? She stares at the letter in silence as the candle beside her burns low, tears blurring her vision. Narration, soft, emotional. She had always believed she'd thank him one day. Now she realized she might never have that chance. Scene transition, months later. The camera pans over a bus weaving through city traffic. Amara, dressed modestly but neatly, sits by the window, clutching her bag. The countryside fades behind her. The village now just a memory. She's moving to the city, chasing purpose, and healing through her work. Voiceover. Amara's inner thoughts. If I can't find him, then I'll become like him. I'll keep giving, even if no one ever knows my name. Scene, the city's adult literacy center. It's evening. The classroom is small but full. Men and women of all ages sit with notebooks, trying to spell their names, read road signs, and write letters. Amara stands at the front, guiding them patiently. Her smile is kind, her tone soft, encouraging. Among the learners sits an older man. Mid-50s, gentle eyes, salt and pepper hair. His name is Tunde. He's quiet, observant, always sitting in the back, listening more than writing. When others struggle, he helps them, even though he already seems to know the lessons. After class, one evening, Amara approaches him. "Mr. Tunde," she says kindly, "you already know all this. Why do you keep coming?" He smiles faintly, eyes kind but distant. "I like watching people learn," he says. "It reminds me that hope doesn't grow old." She nods, intrigued by his answer. There's something about him. Calm, wise, familiar in a way she can't explain. Montage, weeks pass. Tunde helps fix broken desks at the center. He brings used books for the students. Sometimes he arrives early just to sweep the classroom floor. Amara begins to notice the small details. The way he listens when she talks about her childhood, how his eyes glisten when she mentions her mother, and how his smile fades slightly whenever she mentions the stranger who once changed her life. It's as if he knows something, but says nothing. Scene. One quiet evening. Amara and Tunde lock up after class. The air smells of rain. Tunde looks up at the sky, hands behind his back. "It will rain soon," he says softly. Amara smiles. "The students won't mind. They're stronger than they look." Tunde chuckles. "So are you." The way he says it makes her pause. There's a fatherly warmth in his voice, yet a hint of sorrow, too. As the first drops begin to fall, he waves goodbye, walking slowly into the night under a broken umbrella. Amara watches him go, something stirring in her heart, a strange familiarity she can't quite name. Narration, gentle, suspenseful. She didn't know it then, but the man who had quietly entered her life would soon reopen the very chapter she thought was closed. The same hands that had written the words "paid in full" were now just within her reach. Music swells, a mix of mystery and destiny. The scene fades to black. Sometimes destiny circles back in silence, not with thunder, not with signs, but in quiet footsteps, waiting to be recognized. Scene, the Literacy Center, a few weeks later. The classroom hums with soft chatter. Amara stands at the front, teaching her class of adult learners how to write short letters. She writes on the board, "Dear friend, I want to thank you." Her voice wavers slightly as she explains. She thinks of her mother's letter again, the one that ended with, "Let her never know who I am." She blinks away the memory and turns back to the students. "Sometimes," she says softly, "letters reach hearts that words in person never could." From the back of the room, Tunde listens, his eyes heavy with emotion. He seems to understand every word she doesn't say. Class ends. Students leave in twos and threes. Tunde lingers, sweeping as always. Amara gathers her notes, glancing toward him. "Mr. Tunde," she says gently, "you don't have to stay late every day. We can hire someone to clean." He smiles faintly. "I like the quiet. It reminds me of the past." She nods, studying him. "Do you have children?" she asks suddenly. Tunde pauses. After a moment, "I did once. A daughter." Her eyes soften. "Where is she?" He exhales slowly. "Far away and close, both at once." Amara smiles sadly. "That sounds like poetry." He chuckles softly. "Sometimes life writes better poetry than we ever could." Scene. That night. Amara can't sleep. She sits at her small table, staring at her mother's old letter again. She whispers, "Who are you, kind stranger?" Her eyes drift to the candle flame flickering. A sudden thought crosses her mind. What if the answer was never far away? Montage, a short passage of time. Amara finds an old receipt among her mother's belongings. School fees paid by T. Afolayan. Her breath catches. T. Afolayan, the same name signed in the classroom attendance sheet. Tunde Afolayan. Her world stills. The paper trembles in her hands. Narration, soft, suspenseful. The pieces she never thought would fit suddenly began to fall into place. Scene. Next day. Evening at the center. Amara waits after class. Her heart pounds. Tunde is again fixing the chairs, humming softly. She approaches quietly, holding the old receipt. "Mr. Tunde," she says, her voice barely steady. He turns with a warm smile. "Yes, Miss Amara?" She swallows hard, stepping closer. "This was found among my mother's things." She hands him the paper. Tunde's face goes pale. His eyes flicker over the paper, then up to her trembling face. You knew?" he whispers. Amara's voice cracks. Not until now. Silence fills the room. The rain begins again outside. Slow, heavy drops against the window. Tunde sits down slowly, covering his face with his hands. After a long pause, he says softly, "I never meant for you to find out." Amara kneels in front of him, tears falling freely. "Why, Mr. Tunde? Why would you help me? And then disappear?" He lifts his head, eyes glistening. "Because I didn't deserve to be thanked." She stares at him, confused. "What do you mean?" Tunde exhales, trembling. "Your father and I were once friends. Brothers, almost. I borrowed money from him long ago. Money I could never repay. He died before I could make it right. When I saw your mother struggling to send you to school, I realized it was my debt that kept your family poor." Tears fill his eyes. "So I paid what I could. Your school fees. In your father's name. But I couldn't bear to tell you. I thought it was better if you never knew." Narration, gentle, aching. He had carried guilt for years, a weight that only forgiveness could release. Amara covers her mouth, tears streaming. She whispers, "All this time, I thought you were a stranger, but you were part of my story all along." Tunde smiles weakly. Maybe that's what grace is. Strangers becoming family again. A long, emotional silence. Amara reaches forward and holds his hands tightly. "You don't owe me anything anymore, Mr. Tunde. My father would forgive you. And so do I." His lips tremble as he nods slowly. "Thank you, child. You've given this old heart peace." The rain outside slows to a drizzle. The thunder fades. Final moment of the scene. The two of them sitting quietly in the empty classroom. The blackboard still reads, "Dear friend, I want to thank you." Amara wipes the board clean, smiling softly. Then she looks at Tunde. "Let's start a new chapter. Together." "You can help me teach," he laughs softly, tears still shining. "I'd be honored." Narration, warm, hopeful. And so the stranger who once gave from the shadows finally found light again. Not through charity, but through forgiveness. Camera pulls back. The rain-streaked windows glowing with streetlight. Two figures remain inside, teacher and student, forever bound by a kindness that refused to die. Some truths arrive like lightning. Fierce, sudden, unstoppable. Others come softly, as if afraid to break the heart they were meant to heal. Scene 1 week later, City Hospital. Amara rushes through the hospital hallway, her hands trembling. The nurse at the reception points her toward room 207. Inside, Tunde lies weakly on the bed. His breathing is shallow, his skin pale beneath the fluorescent light. Amara freezes at the door, disbelief and fear clouding her face. "Amara," softly. "Mr. Tunde." He turns his head slowly, a faint smile forming. "Ah, my student came back." She walks closer, forcing a smile, hiding her tears. "You didn't come to class. I thought maybe you were busy, but—" He chuckles weakly. "Busy dying, perhaps," Amara gasps. "Don't say that!" Tunde's eyes soften. Death isn't so frightening when you've already seen life change in someone's eyes. She sits beside him, holding his hand. The silence between them feels heavy, sacred, the weight of unspoken gratitude, regret, and love. Scene. Later that evening, Tunde whispers, "There's something I must tell you before my time ends." Amara shakes her head, tears in her eyes. "You've told me enough. You gave me everything, and I can never repay that." He smiles faintly. "No, Amara, I owe you this truth. You deserve to know who I really was." He struggles to sit up, and Amara helps him gently. Tunde, softly. "Years ago, I was a teacher in a small village. Your village. One day, I saw a little girl sitting under a mango tree, crying over torn books. You were that girl. Amara gasps. The memory flashes before her eyes. The old mango tree, her small hands clutching a broken pencil. Tunde continues, his voice trembling. I remember asking you why you were crying. You told me, I want to learn, but we can't afford it. That night, I couldn't sleep. You reminded me of myself, the boy I once was, full of dreams and hunger for knowledge. He coughs softly, wincing in pain. Amara wipes his forehead, whispering, Please, rest. You don't have to, but he shakes his head. I must. Before my time runs out, Tunde, continuing. I lost my job soon after that. I had nothing left but a few months of savings. When the headmaster told me a student was about to be expelled for unpaid fees, I knew it was you. So, I paid what I could and left a note. Paid in full. Continue your studies. Amara covers her mouth, her shoulders shaking as tears fall freely. Tunde's voice softens. I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because I saw the fire in your eyes, a fire that deserved to live. But I made a promise to God. I would never reveal it unless life brought us together again. He smiles weakly. And life kept its promise. Emotional beat, the goodbye. Amara clutches his hand tightly. Her voice breaks. You changed my life, Mr. Tunde. Every success I had, every child I've helped, it all began because of you. Tunde's eyes glisten. And you gave my life meaning again. I never expected to see what you've become. You kept the dream alive. For both of us. Amara lays her head beside his hand, weeping. The heart monitor beeps softly in the background. Steady, fragile, fading. Tunde, whispering. When I'm gone, don't mourn too long. Just keep the chain of kindness unbroken. Amara looks up. Tears shining in her eyes. I promise, she whispers. Tunde smiles, the peaceful smile of a man who's made peace with his past. Moments later, his breathing slows. The room grows still except for the soft hum of the machines. Narration, gentle, emotional. Some people leave without noise, without glory, only a legacy of love that refuses to die. Amara sits quietly, holding his lifeless hand, whispering through her tears, Rest now, my teacher, my angel. Cut to later. Amara leaving the hospital, walking into the sunrise. She carries his final note in her hand, written in shaky handwriting. Close up on the note. Keep the chain of kindness unbroken. Narration, final line of the section. And though her heart was heavy with loss, Amara knew this was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of hers. Every goodbye leaves behind a whisper, a promise waiting to be kept. For Amara, that whisper carried the weight of a man's final wish and a lifetime of gratitude. Seen the day of the funeral, gray clouds hang over the small community cemetery. The air smells of wet earth and wilting flowers. Amara stands silently, her black veil fluttering in the breeze. Around her are only a handful of people. A few of Tunde's old students, neighbors, and 2 colleagues from the literacy center. The coffin, plain and wooden, rests under a mango tree, the same kind of tree where Amara's story had once begun. Narration. Some lives end quietly, without fame or fortune. But greatness is not measured by who remembers you. It's measured by how deeply you touched the few who did. The pastor's voice trembles as he prays. May his soul find peace among those who taught and those who learned. Amara steps forward, clutching a folded note, the one Tunde left for her. She kneels beside the coffin, lays the note on top, and whispers through her tears, You kept your promise to God. Now it's my turn to keep mine. Scene, a new dawn weeks pass. Grief becomes a quiet companion. It follows Amara in her classroom, in her sleep, in the moments between smiles. But one morning, as sunlight spills into her window, she opens her notebook and writes across the top of a blank page. The Tunda Foundation for every child who dreams. The name alone fills her heart with warmth and pain. The beautiful kind of that means something good is being born out of loss. She begins small, a scholarship, fund for children from rural areas. Every donation, every volunteer hour, every smile she gives feels like a thread tying her heart to his memory. Narration. Some promises rebuild the soul. They turn grief into grace and love into legacy. Scene, the first scholarship. Ceremony months later. Amara stands on a small stage in her village, facing a crowd of children and parents. She holds the microphone with trembling hands, but her voice is steady, full of light. Amara, smiling through tears. There was once a man who believed in me when I had nothing. He gave without being known, loved without being thanked. His kindness became the soil where my dreams took root. The crowd listens, silent, moved. She pauses, looking at the banner behind her. The Tunda Foundation. Education is a gift to share. Amara continues. And today, I promise to do the same, to help others, not because they can repay me, but because someone once helped me without expecting anything in return. Applause fills the hall. Children smile. Parents weep softly. Closing emotional beat later that evening, Amara visits the mango tree behind her childhood home. The wind rustles the leaves, whispering softly. She closes her eyes, imagining Tunde's calm voice again. She lays a single white flower at the base of the tree and whispers, "I kept my promise." The camera pans upward, sunlight breaking through clouds, golden and gentle. Narration, final line of section. And in that moment, Amara understood. True kindness never dies. It lives on, carried by those who choose to keep the chain unbroken. Time has a quiet way of healing hearts, not by erasing pain, but by filling the empty spaces with purpose. For Amara, the years that followed were not about forgetting Tunda, but about continuing what he began. Scene, several years later. The Tunde Foundation office. The walls are lined with photos, smiling children in school uniforms, certificates, and a framed picture of Tunda beside the words, "Kindness never ends, it only travels." Amara, now in her mid-30s, walks through the small office, holding a stack of letters. She looks confident, graceful, a woman who has found peace in her purpose. Children's voices echo from outside. A few volunteers wave as they pass by. Amara smiles, remembering how once she had been one of those children, lost, afraid, praying under a mango tree. Narration. She had become what she once needed. A hand to lift, a voice to believe, a light to guide. Scene. A knock at the door. There's a soft knock. A young girl, no older than 12, steps into Amara's office. Her uniform is worn, her sandals torn. In her trembling hands is a folded, faded letter. Girl, quietly. "Ma, they said maybe you can help. My school fees." Her voice cracks. "My mother can't pay anymore. They said I can't come back next term." Amara looks at the girl, her big, worried eyes, her small hands clutching the letter tightly. It's like looking into a mirror from years ago. She takes the letter gently and unfolds it. It's written in shaky handwriting. "Please, if there's anyone who can help my daughter continue her education, May God bless you. For a moment, the world seems to stand still. The sound of distant laughter fades. Amara's heart fills with emotion, a memory flooding back. The mango tree, the tears, the anonymous note that once saved her life. Seen, the act of kindness, Amara looks at the girl and smiles warmly. Amara, softly. What's your name, my dear? Girl, Effie. Amara, Effie. Tell your mother not to worry. Your fees have been paid. The girl's eyes widen. Truly? Amara nods, holding her small hand. Truly. And one day, when you're grown, you'll help someone else. Just like this. The girl hugs her tightly, tears glistening in her eyes. Amara holds her close, her heart swelling with peace. Narration. And in that single moment, a promise was reborn. The same kindness that once saved a girl beneath a mango tree had now passed into new hands. Final emotional beat. The circle, completed later that evening. Amara stands outside, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold and orange. The breeze brushes her face softly. She looks up at the clouds and whispers, "Thank you, Tunde." The chain continues. The camera pans upward, from her face to the wide African sky, glowing with evening light. Children's laughter echoes in the distance. Narration, final lines. Some stories never truly end. They live on in the hearts they touch, in the dreams they inspire, and in the quiet acts of love that keep the world kind. Music swells. Soft African drums and choir harmonies rise as the screen fades to black. Text on screen, dedicated to all who give without being seen. Your kindness shapes the future.